Why are we here today? We're here today to set the record straight. All the black people in North America did not come here on slave ships.
He is absolutely right. All black people in the Americas did not come on slave ships. Only the majority. Many were born here from those forced immigrants, others came here as free men aboard European ships as crew members. Others came across the sea as members of Algerian Barbary corsair ships. Black sailors were members of European and North African sailor crews since before the discovery of the Americas by the Old World in 1492. Many came across as conquistadors along with the Spanish. Later in time, many came as foreign immigrants. Others have come as refugees. Shoot, after planes were invented, a ton have even flown here avoiding ships altogether. They have come in many fashions and forms. But they all originally came from somewhere else, and after Native Americans were already here.
From time immemorial, beginning of time, there were black people on every piece of land on this planet, okay?
No, they were not. Humankind only left Africa around 50,000 years ago, and we aren't even sure what complexion they had, as light as the sun or as dark as the Nuer, or somewhere in between like the Sundaway, who knows? By the time they were established in Asia, there was already considerable variety. By the time the Americas were colonized around 15,000 years ago by the coastal, Pacific route, the look was definitely not that of a plesiomorphic African and nothing like the look of African Americans, like that of so-called Washitaw Moors.
So tonight, I'm going to tell you about the original people not only around the world, but the original people here in Louisiana who are the oldest people found on Earth. Did you know that there's some of the oldest people on the planet found right here in Louisiana?
No offense to the rest of the people of Louisiana, but it definitely fits for these so-called Washitaw Moors.
So right now, who do you know are the oldest people on the planet? Who's that? Who? Adam and Eve? Magnesh? Dengnesh.
So-called Lucy.
Dengnesh, okay.
It is Dinkernish. Amharic for you are beautiful, but I wouldn't consider an Australopithecus afarensis as a human, quite as of yet, but definitely a hominid. Ardi, an Ardipithecus ramidus, predates Dinkernish by over 1 million years, if you are going to go that route. Personally, I would have picked Homo et al. 2, or Homo man.
This is a Omi kid.
Covered that claim to death in my other videos.
We have the continent of Africa. The continent of Africa is the only continent on the planet that is set into the soil, into the ground. All of the continents, South America, North America, Australia, Greenland, all these continents drift. Africa is set in the ground.
Are you serious? And you supposedly taught science to junior high school students? That is a true crime. At one point in time, geologists have even shown the African landmass was in the South Pole. Truly, this guy is ignorant and has no clue about how plate tectonics works.
My grandma took the time when the planet was called Mu.
His grandmother must have been an avid reader then. The term Mu did not even exist until Brazour mistranslated the Troano Codex in 1864 using the inaccurate Delanda alphabet. It was not even a correct word. Le Plongeon, a fantasy novelist, borrowed the inaccurate term and used it in his fantasy novel, Queen Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx. So did Churchward in his Lost Continent of Mu. Oh, that is a great source of information. Fantasy writers. Lemuria, on the other hand, was a hypothetical lost continent in the Indian Ocean, thought up by Sclater, in 1864, to explain similar fossils in India and Madagascar. Lemur fossils. Hence the name. I cannot wait to see if this fool claims the Washitaw Moors were lemurs.
An ancient word for Africa, a Moorish word, is a Mexo.
Funny, I find no such name in any ancient texts. I only see it in African American writings. Sounds like something thrown together, like Doug de Moundia.
Akibulon is the indigenous name for the continent we know as Africa. This is the name long before any European named Africa Sipicanus renamed our continent.
Another inaccuracy. Alkebulan was an Arabic term, much like the Maghreb, to refer to the north region of Africa. Scipio did not name Africa, he was named after Africa. Africanus, of Africa. Name he acquired after defeating Hannibal in Africa. Africa comes from the Afrique, Berber peoples of that time. Way before Alkebulan.
Dengnesh, the oldest woman on the planet, 3.1 million years old. So we have a black woman, 3.1 million years old.
I do not know about this guy's tastes in females, but I would never, in capital letters, never, call an Australopithecus afarensis a black woman. Any man who appreciates black beauty would never offend them by putting them in the same class as Lucy. A guy with Coke bottle glasses could tell a black woman and Lucy apart. Hell, a blind man could tell them apart. She may be our remote ancestor, but a human, she is not. Lucy might not even be female. Hey, but whatever floats his boat. Maybe he finds chimpanzees and gorillas sexy as well.
Europe is one of the newest cultures on the planet, okay? Iraq and Iran are right here. We're taught that this is the cradle of civilization. Mesopotamia, the Tigris-Euphrates rivers, okay? Yet we know that the people here were here for thousands of years, ancient Egypt.
Actually, Turkey and Israel show older evidence of civilization than Iraq or Iran. Both predate anything in Egypt. Even Wadi Cubania. Just look up Jericho, Anatolia, etc. As for Europe, they had civilizations that might not be as old as pre-dynastic Egypt, but do predate the pyramids. Archaeologists have been finding temples in Germany, Austria and Slovakia that date to 4800 BC to 4600 BC. So claiming they are young is relative, at best. All these civilizations predate anything in West Africa. So is there a point? All civilizations, including the West African ones, had great accomplishments, no matter what time period they happen to occur. Trying to claim some superiority based on ancient timelines is ridiculous.
Tunica, Natchez, Biloxi, all these are indigenous people, indigenous black people.
And then you wonder why so many Native American groups just do not like you guys. Cause you are frauds trying to claim peoples that have their own identity, as yours. Not one of those groups is black, never were they described as such, and no historic chronicle corroborates your deluded claims.
I am a researcher, I love to read, and tonight I'm going to share with you a few facts I found in my research.
What your so-called research keeps on failing to do is provide any concrete evidence that the mound builders were African-looking people. Looking for snippets in newspapers without verifying sources or placing them in any type of context is not valid research. Afrocentrists, like the Washitaw Moors, share many characteristics with so-called scientific creationists and cult archaeologists. Most Afrocentric authors lack academic credentials in the appropriate fields and do little or no original research. Proponents of contacts with the Olmecs have not turned a spade full of dirt in Mexico. Washitaw have never done any archaeological work with any of the mounds. And none of them publish in peer-reviewed referee-disciplinary journals. Their research consists of dredging through scientific and non-scientific literature, giving them equal evidentiary weight, for supportive snippets to quote out of context. Even if the rest of the article contradicts their claims. All they want is a quote they can use to support their beliefs. They cite other Afrocentrists or their own previous work and rely on debunked and or outdated sources, often taken out of context. They use myths as though they were historical or scientific facts. Many Afrocentrists use the following chain of reasoning: if it is conceivable, it is possible, it is probable, it is true. If one piece of evidence will support their claim, but 10 others will not, they will ignore all evidence except the one that makes them sound right. Snake oil salesmanship at its best. Afrocentrists are not the only ones. Gavin Menzies, and his claims of Chinese in the Americas is another great example. Why so many pseudo-historians? Simple, money. Like race card mongers, pseudo-historians play on the dreams and fantasies of people. They tell them stuff they want to hear and will pay to do so. Ever wonder why there are quite a few white people touring around giving Afrocentric speeches? David Hatcher Childress and Joel Freeman are prime examples. They give motivational speeches and lectures to populations that will dish out the money to hear them. This guy, Umar Shahbaz Bey, Runoko Rashidi, Ivan Van Satima, etc. made careers out of speeches and presentations. They became very rich doing so as well. Gavin Menzies on the Chinese claims has also become filthy rich. People like to hear fantasies, even if the evidence is flimsy at best.
All I can do tonight is give you a small table of content, point you along the way, and show you a few things that we have not been told. Okay, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, December 23rd, 1995.
If it is in a newspaper, how have you not been told? If anything, you have been told, but a responsible person would check the sources of the article to verify how accurate the claims are. The same thing when looking at articles on the internet, for example, you go look at the sources and read them as well. True research means validating if a piece of evidence is accurate and does a true representation of the facts.